Well, fundamentally, the two reasons why I really like the sandbox model is one, it's a very bottom-up form of socio-economic development, and two, it really brings the rigor and the principles of business and entrepreneurship to address social challenges. Personally, being an entrepreneur myself, I think this sort of an approach, this philosophy of socio-economic development is very, very important. And envision this here in India is over a period of time, if we have say about 20 of these, each impacting roughly 1 crore population, right? And most if not all of them being in the rural India, I mean that can have a huge transformative effect on India. It might take 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, but it's one of those changes that will have an impact for the next 100 years if you do it right. And to me, Kakatiya Sandbox is one of the 20 that I'm talking about, and also one of the early ones, obviously modeled after what Desh and his team have done in Hubli. And so I'm very excited and just about the possibilities for what this can do, not just for Nizamabad and now the new state of Telangana, but really for India as a whole. But like any startup, I'm sure there are things that we learn along the way and improve, but so far it looks very encouraging. Half of India is what, 25 or less, right? We have a very young population, and Nizamabad, or for that matter Andhra Pradesh, is no different. The demographics are very, very similar to that. So if we really have to make a lasting impact, it has to come from igniting the minds of these young people, the young India. So the initial program that we picked to launch Kakatiya Sandbox were in fact exactly that. One is LEAD, which has been a very successful model of engaging mostly the college youth, and then Agastya, which is all about sparking the minds of students in high school and middle school, and teaching and raising their sense of curiosity through hands-on experimental learning, right? And so what you're seeing today now with Nirman and Asadeep, a wonderful example of a social entrepreneur, I mean you can see the same thing sort of growing multifold and the pace accelerating. Again, for me, or the sandbox model in general, as I understand, it's not up to me to say which problems to address and how to address, right? I mean the problems are all around us to see. And so initially, at least Kakatiya Sandbox, we picked the emphasis around education and livelihood. So all these that you mentioned, starting with Agastya and of course LEAD, and then now Nirman and Asadeep, these are all examples of initiatives that are focused on those areas. Now there is also another one which we have launched with Pratham, that's essentially enabling micro entrepreneurs in a place about 30 kilometers from here, which is also in Nizamabad district in Varni. These are all different activities and initiatives that have started just in the last 6 months. And there is another one that we are talking to, that Reddy Foundation has been doing, mostly dealing with farmers, but that's more in an evaluation study phase right now. So the way I envision this is, once you create this sort of a hub of activity and get the right minds with the right sort of purpose together, then beautiful things can come out of it. I'm seeing this as sort of really being in the early stages of this opportunity. Yeah. I mean there are a lot of challenges obviously in India today. At the same time, it also means there are a lot of opportunities to address them. But perhaps the biggest of these challenges and hence an opportunity in my mind is creating jobs for all the young people of India, and not just for the next 3 or 5 years, but over the next 15-20 years, considering we have such a young population in India. So essentially, to me, the things that we have been doing or will continue to do in Kakatiya Sandbox are largely focused on creating the next generation of entrepreneurs based on a strong foundation of learning and empowered experience, right? And so these people can go on to become job creators as opposed to job seekers. And the more of the job creators we have, the better the prosperity in the future, not just for people of Nizamabad or Medak, Karimnagar, which is covered today by Kakatiya Sandbox, but elsewhere in India.